So this is hopefully a short video just to follow up on the first video that shows the apprentice level. Not a lot changes really as you go to the next two levels of this physics classroom, inclined plane, concept builder, solve it. But basically you start out with, you just have force normal, which is of course equal to force perpendicular, and then force parallel. These are both components of the force of gravity. And you essentially can cancel out force of gravity as aforementioned. But what we start doing in the next couple levels, and in the master level, cancels that out, we add in a force in the opposite direction. And this is actually what would be most common. You see something like this quite often. To do these, really, you do it the same way. You just are going to have, and I would hope, if this may look really confusing, but if we could suddenly cancel this out again and just turn it like this. This is something you've been doing for a long time. We have something to the left, to the right, up, down. How do these sizes compare? What's the net forces? This should be something you've already seen. So that's worth bearing in mind. Maybe it gets a little tricky, but remember, once you calculate these components and you can do away with force of gravity. And then you can just kind of think uphill, downhill, away from the hill, towards the hill, or parallel, perpendicular. And then on the wizard level, it's the same thing. Again, you can use, once you get your parallel and perpendicular, you can cancel out the force of gravity. And then you're just dealing with the same thing. Again, you can kind of think of it, this is be something you're somewhat familiar with, where you just may have, if you're dragging something up the hill, how does the force up the hill compare to these two down the hill? And you just deal with some of the forces. So, for example, if this ended up being 10, and this was 10, and this was 30, well, of course, you'd have 10 and 10 going this way. That's 20. 30 going this way. So the net force, these forces here are always the same. These are always going to be the same. So say this is 30 and this is 30. Or we'll say 130 and 130, just for the fun of it, to make it not the same number. In this case, these forces are always going to cancel each other out. So really what you're looking at is what's happening on the parallel axis. And in this case, there would be a net force of 10 going up the hill, because 30 minus 10 would equal 20. Again, we could use algebraic signs and assign to the right as positive and to the left as negative, and use our equation that I gave you before, force net equals the sum of the forces. So you would have negative 30 plus 10 equals, in that case, this is of course going to be force net, and then again you would find this to be negative 10 equals force net, which that negative would just tell you it's to the left. But it's okay just to look at the picture and think to the right and to the left at this level, in my opinion. Thank you, and I hope that helps.